Good morning. I may have to walk around like this because we're lopsided in here. So we're what? So we're left brain today? Brain's not working at all. Okay. All right. All right. Hey, you know what? Super Bowl's next week. I was with one of my clients on Friday, and I was doing some health stuff with him. And at the end of this whole thing, he says, "I'm going to the Super Bowl." And I go, "Really?" And he says, "You ever seen Super Bowl tickets?" And I said, "No." So he went to his safe and got these tickets out. And he goes, "Man, they were only $2,200. And I went, "Wow." It says 800 right on them. But I guess a guy flew to Phoenix, picked up the tickets, and when he came out, he was going to sell them back here, but he came out, there were literally people with bags of money trying to buy tickets from anybody that came out. And he just kind of finally had to put his head down and walk through. But for the first time, I'm actually going to the Super Bowl because guess what? I touched those tickets. So part of me is going to be there. Okay, things that make you go, Trust-only movement. Life happens at the level of events, not of words. Trust movement. No guest is so welcome in a friend's house that he will not become a nuisance after 3 days. That was Titus Platius in 254 BC. So they had problems then back then too. He makes no friend who never made a foe. Probably true. Probably true. Okay. In medieval Europe, people made a constant display of their wealth and power. They not only rode in fine carriages and wore expensive clothing, they were constantly surrounded by a corps of guards and servants. When such a party rode into town, it was necessary to clear the narrow streets as they would pass. Heralds always led the group and blew their horns to announce the arrival of a person of importance. Vendors and street salesmen also used horns to attract a crowd of patrons. Having no servants to do it themselves, to do it for them, they were forced to blow their own horns. Their merchandise was hardly worth all the fanfare, though, so to blow one's horn came to stand for any sort of boastful or vulgar display. All right. Ooh, yeah, I remember the Wile E. Coyote one last week. That was interesting. Steve Hillenburg created the Nickelodeon cartoon SpongeBob SquarePants. The story of a yellow sea sponge who lives in a pineapple at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean with his pet snail, Gary. Hillenburg got his inspiration for the idea while working as a marine science instructor. There you go. So does that mean there's actually some science behind that whole cartoon? Yeah, probably not. Probably not. We do have a couple of patron saints of the Divine Fellowship by the name of John Lennon and George Carlin. And John, life is what happens while you're making other plans. True, unfortunately. And George, his equal reverend self. One thing leads to another. Well, not always. Sometimes one thing leads to the same thing. Ask an addict. Okay. Oh, I did this one in 2008. So if anyone was here at that time, they may remember it. Chances are they won't because I don't remember what I did last week half the time. So, the law of the garbage truck. One day, I hopped in a taxi and we took off to the airport. We were driving in the right lane when suddenly a black car jumped out of the parking space right in front of us. My taxi driver slammed on his brakes, skidded, and missed the other car by inches. The driver of the other car whipped his head around and started yelling at us. My taxi driver just smiled and waved at the guy, and I mean, he was really friendly. So I asked, why did you just do that? The guy almost ruined your car and sent us to the hospital. This is when my taxi driver taught me what I now call the law of the garbage truck. He explained that many people are like garbage trucks. They run around full of garbage, full of frustration, full of anger, and full of disappointment. As their garbage piles up, they need a place to dump it, and sometimes they'll dump it on you. Don't take it personally. Just smile, wave, wish them well, and move on. Don't take their garbage and spread it to other people at work, at home, or on the streets. The bottom line is that successful people do not let garbage trucks take over their day. Life's too short to wake up in the morning with regrets. So, love the people who treat you right. Pray for the ones who don't. There you go. I always wanted to grow up to be a garbage truck person, so maybe that's what happened. Yeah. My husband and I divorced over religious differences. He thought he was God. I didn't. I don't suffer from insanity. I enjoy every minute of it. Some people are alive only because it's illegal to kill them. I used to have a handle on life, but it broke. Ta-da. Was it Rodney Dangerfield used to do the one-liners? Something was said. I think I was one of the ones that did that. I did that one. I'd kill for a Nobel Prize, Peace Prize. I did that one last week, but it's still good this week. A clear conscience is usually a sign of bad memory. Hey there. If you want the rainbow, you have got to put up with the rain. All those who believe in psychokinesis, raise your hand. The early bird may get the worm, but the second mouse gets the cheese. I almost had a psychic girlfriend, but she left me before we met. Okay, so what's the speed of dark? I don't know. These things confuse me. I stay awake at night thinking about stuff like this. She's just shaking her head. Okay, a man is stumbling through the woods totally drunk when he comes upon a preacher baptizing people in the river. The drunk walks into the water and subsequently bumps into the preacher. The preacher turns around and is almost overcome by the smell of booze, wherein he asks the drunk, "Are you ready to find Jesus?" "Yes, I am," replies the drunk. So the preacher grabs him, dunks him in the water. He pulls him up and asks the drunk, "Brother, have you found Jesus?" Drunk says, "No, I haven't." The preacher, shocked at the answer, dunks him in the water again, but a little longer this time. Pulls him out of the water and again asks, "Have you found Jesus, my brother?" That sounds good, doesn't it? It's like I've done this before. The drunk again answers, "No, I have not found Jesus." By this time, the preacher at his wits' end. So he dunks the drunk in the water again, but this time he holds him down for like 30 seconds. When the drunk begins to kick his arms and legs, the preacher pulls him up. The preacher asks the drunk again, "For the love of God, have you found Jesus?" The drunk wipes his eyes, catches his breath, and says to the preacher, "Are you sure he fell in here?" I couldn't possibly become a good Baptist preacher, because whenever I did something like that, I'd start laughing. Just would start laughing. What can I say? Hey, let's sing a song. Oh, Jan, did you want to?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I'll do. May as well do it now.
There you go. Turn the camera off now? Later.
Later.
Okay.
Later, dude.
Okay.
We have some get well cards for Christopher Turner. He's back in the hospital again. And it has been all week, getting a little discouraged. So cards from us would certainly make his world a whole lot better. So whether you know him or not, God does. So if you'd be willing to just sign it and send him a happy, hope you're thinking of you, hoping you're doing well, all of that. No visitors at this time. Thank you. Sign that. The other thing I want to ask you really quick. Somebody volunteered last week to help at the expo to do the church setup. I have no idea who that is. So if you would re-volunteer to me, I would really appreciate that. Because I didn't write it down. If it's not written down, it's gone. You know how that is. So I only have a couple of the team leaders left to acquire. I need someone to lead the ticket takers and welcoming people. And, sorry. And the silent auction, yes, ma'am. All right, awesome, thank you, wonderful. Yeah, write it down, thank you. And then Valerie's going to need a little help with the silent auction, so we need a team leader on that with her. So if you could take a look at that, that would be awesome.
If you're curious what that's all about, ask Valerie before you volunteer.
Ticket takers. Nancy. Okay. So now I have a couple of other volunteer sheets to go around. It takes a ton of manpower. None of us get paid for this. This is a fundraiser for the church. You don't have to have any special talent to be a greeter or a ticket taker or help with the silent auction. Just a happy smile and a willing heart. If you want to do readings, you don't have to be professional quality. If you're professional quality, you'll probably have your own darn booth. So if you just know how to do some readings and want to share your insights and intuition, we're going to have a practice in mid-February. It's in your calendar. So just come and check it out, because people just want a sample or a taste, and having a loving presence to give them a taste of what intuition and psychic awareness is just such a beautiful thing. So if you have a talent or ability in that department and want to volunteer, we really, really could use you. So I have 4 volunteer sheets, and I'll be working with you volunteers. So check through these sheets and see if there's anything you would like to do. I need your name and phone number and your availability. So please help us out. We can't do this without you. So, yes, ma'am? We'll get to that. I want to get these other things out of the way first. Okay. So that's coming down the road.
Last Sunday we had 20.
Less than 10. Sold another one this morning. I think we have like 5. Thank you. I've only done this how many years now? Shift happens. Shift happens, don't you think? Shift happens. There was an article handed to me last week, and it's a story of people who were out walking badger, and they were feeling a little lost and lonely, and a woman had lost her mother. She passed. And they had been commenting that hadn't heard any meadowlarks, and that often reminded of her mother. All of a sudden, meadowlark sang. And then all we gosh and go to heck, another meadowlark sang. So that was their understanding that there was still contact from the other side. So that is an evidence of shift happens. So does anybody else have a shift happen they want to share this week? You do? All right. Hey, Phil, where's the other microphone, my love? Oh, there it is. Let us have it.
Okay, before my father passed about 15 years ago, he had this habit I didn't like. He subscribed to some loosely put together, I don't know what you call them, office things, and he would take this 3-hole stapler and put all these put 3-hole staplers in these things, and they'd fall on the ground. He didn't care where they landed, you know. He was kind of sloppy that way, and it irritated me because I'm always seeing these punch holes, you know. Well, one day this year, a couple weeks ago, I walked out my front porch, which has steps on it, and there was a little tiny punch hole. Someone had, I don't know, some paper had arrived that was a punch hole, and I don't care anymore about, I'd like to have more of them really now. But anyway.
That's a punch hole from heaven.
Yeah, a punch hole from heaven. But the thing that went through my mind, because it's like I have like 3 steps, and it was on the second step, and I was looking down, and the thing that went through my mind when I saw it was, my father knows what a hard time I've been going through, you know? And it was like, it made it so much lighter because we never go through anything alone. We just think we are.
Well said. Well said. Shift happens, and that shifted everything. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Going, going, gone. You got to put your hand up higher than that.
Sorry. Got the nudge.
Elbow, elbow.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott. So yesterday I was really struggling, as I've been struggling for a while, with just some self-doubt and self-esteem stuff. And I had kind of sent a little intention out prayer in the morning, you know, just help me get right with myself here. And I was really struggling through the day. We went to an expo trying to lift our spirits to be around kids and just have some fun yesterday. And I'm getting overwhelmed. I was just like, too many people, and my head's just going absolutely nuts. And I was about to my limit and really just starting to panic and like, I need to get out of here. My dog was like, it's too much for me. Next thing I know, I feel this woman. I felt her before I even saw her. And she's this tiny little thing, just tiny, and she's just glowing. And she steps in front of me and she just looks at me and she goes, your dog likes me. And I said, yes, she does. And my dog had been trying to get to this woman. Literally was trying to get to this woman. And she came up to me and she just extended her hand to me and she looked me in the eyes and she said, you are beautiful. Do you know that you are so beautiful? And on such a soul level, I just know that was an angel. No way to describe how that felt. And she just took my hand and I never wanted to let go of her hand.
How beautiful is that?
That was just a God experience.
And your brain shut up, right?
Yes, yeah.
Love it.
I just wanted to add after that, Ronald McDonald was walking around there, right? And he was walking by, and after she talked to Cinnamon, she goes, you are awesome. And Ronald McDonald just stops and looked at her and said, thank you. And he was just...
Talk about...
And she was.
Talk about an angel.
An angel.
How one word, one little phrase can make all the difference in the world. So whether the shift is happening to you or you're creating shift in someone else. Oh, there's the other one. Okay. I felt it, but I wasn't going to push.
So there was a lot, so I've been kind of going through my head, but probably the most profound one for me was discovering a lie that I've been telling myself.
Oh, I hate when that happens. But they're huge. They're huge.
The lie that has been running in my program for as long as I can remember is I can handle anything as long as I know what it is. But the truth is I can handle anything, period. And so it was just like, oh, wait a minute, because I can handle anything is my attempt to control.
Exactly.
And so just identifying that, having that awareness, it's like, wait a minute, I can just handle anything. I don't need to control. And then with that, the grips that come with the lie, I was free.
Awesome. Awesome. Beautiful shifts. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. They don't have to be huge, but they can be huge. Little things are big things. One more? Why not, I say? Why not?
In 2009, my son committed suicide. He was 16 years old. His favorite color was deep purple. Loved deep purple. And so Mother's Day a couple years ago, I ended up swimming. I was swimming in a pool. I was on an assignment near Laughlin, Nevada. And so I was out there swimming. And my son had called me that morning, and I thought, shoot, I really would love to hear from my other son. Of course, he's on the other side. I thought, just thinking about him. And in the pool, I scooped up what I thought was a bug to get out of the pool, and I looked, and it was a artificial purple flower. And I looked up, I knew it was from him. I'm like, thank you, son, because all around there was real flowers. There was not one artificial flower of purple anywhere. It's just that one little flower. So I still have it to this day. It's just a confirmation that, yes, the timing was right and that he was able to get through.
Beautiful. Those little things make such a big difference. Thanks for sharing. So what I want to share with you today hopefully will make a big difference for you. We used to have, once a month we would have Followers of the Way, which is just looking at Jesus without using a lens of any sort of religion. And it was really fun. It was really fun. And we spent several sessions talking about the Lord's Prayer. And the one thing I didn't get a chance to do during that group, I'm going to do today, because somebody asked me about prayer. And we've talked a little bit about sometimes we feel like we have to beg God, and sometimes we feel like, we're not heard, we don't know the right words to say, whatever. In the Lord's Prayer, not only is there this lovely little word pattern you could use. In that class, we changed it, and so the Lord is my shepherd. Mine was the Lord is my pack leader. So we and changed the analogy because I don't live with sheep anymore. So we're not a rural kind of culture. So I changed it to fit for me right now. But in that structure is also a structure that we can use energetically to access a higher energetic level of prayer. I want to share that with you today. So let me give you the formula, and then I want us to try a couple of different things with that. So as we look in Matthew chapter 5, Jesus says, "Pray this way. Pray then this way. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." So the first thing we're going to do is energetically, we're going to acknowledge there's a power greater than ourselves. Whatever you want to call that, however makes you sleep at night, I don't care. But when we start to think, now we know that there is an indwelling of the Holy Spirit, that Christ dwells in us through faith, and that God is with us. So there's that indwelling. There's that God spark within us. But we're not all there is. And if we can acknowledge that there is something greater than ourselves that has the big picture. Have you ever had an experience that you thought was just the worst thing ever and then it turned out really, really awesome? That's letting us know that there is a power greater than ourselves that has a clue. I don't have to have a clue. You can handle everything because you can handle things. Because somebody else has got the big picture. I don't have to control everything. I can just do my part. We've talked before about my part is showing up, suiting up, showing up, and being there, being real. God's part is to work behind the scenes and bring things into my awareness, bring things into my field of influence so that my world is changed. That's God's part. My part is just to show up and do my best. So if we can access that, for me that looks like being in a column of light. Now I thought about this a lot. And for me, going into the presence of God, I thought, well, if I put God here, then my imagination just automatically puts shadow behind me. And that didn't feel right to me. So if I can be grounded and feel the connection with the earth, because I have a physical form here, and feel grounded, then that feels safe to me. And then be in a column of light, then there's light everywhere. There's light everywhere. And that also activates all of my chakra points, which feels really, really good to me. So if you can visualize that column of light. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Okay, we can welcome this light. You know, the light has no effect in our world if we don't let it. So by allowing ourselves to welcome this powerful light into ourself and welcome it into the world. Now when we're doing our guided meditations and I walk you through letting that light through your body and through your feet, anchoring it into this physical plane, that's kind of a similar situation. And when we're in that state of being, if we can move into a state of being aware of being safe. Because when we're safe, we recognize that thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. God's got this. My 8-year-old granddaughter was over the other day, and we were doing something. I think I was making cocoa for her. And so I said, do you want me to help you stir that? Grandma, I got this. You know, and I was like, oh, she does. She's got this. Whatever's going on in your life, God's got this. Be the cocoa. Just be the cocoa. Just allow yourself to get stirred. When you feel that sense of safety settle in, feeling that love and that light directed at you. It's not just some ambiguous, oh, there's light everywhere and all of a sudden I'm just a part of all that light. No, it's directed to you specifically. There is love aimed at you right this moment. Just because you can't feel it or you're not aware of it doesn't mean it's not there. So allow that awareness to come to you, that I am in the presence of this loving, accepting being that cares, wants me to be happy, wants me to be joyful. And sometimes being joyful means we got to have some challenges in life. You know, Phil and I, when we were first married, I had a teenage son that was a handful, shall we say. And there were things going on. It was like, oh, I just can't handle this. I just can't handle this. I handled it. And then worse things happened. I was like, oh, I just can't handle this. I just can't handle this. I handled it. Now when things happen, it's like, compared to that, this is like, I got this. Again, I got this. I can handle this. So knowing that everything is happening just as it needs to. Somebody posted on Facebook, everything happens for a reason, and sometimes it's because you do stupid stuff. You know, there's consequences to what we do. But even so, we learn. And it's a benefit to us. And things happen so that we can be a better person. Or we can share for someone else. Maybe we go through dark stuff so we can share that light with somebody else. Like this angelic being that came and said, you're beautiful. When you feel that sense of safety and you feel that love and light, now if any point in our process you don't feel that, go back to feeling safe. Because that's going to be your anchor point, okay? So make sure that you can always, that's always a return to spot. If you can't be in a space of feeling safe, take a couple of deep breaths because the safety is there. When you're in the presence of that divine light, there is nothing you have to do or be other than just exist. You took on the breath of life when you were born. That makes you worthy. End of story. End of story. Now, while you're feeling safe, then move in towards a place of clarity. And when we say, give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we have also forgiven our debtors. When we move into that state of safety, that's when we can ask for blessings. If you don't feel safe, what are you doing? You're talking to the ceiling. When we feel safe, then there's that divine connection. We feel heard, our message is getting transferred, and we can be blessed. So when you're in that safety, move towards clarity, releasing stress. There may be, unless the house is on fire, there ain't nothing more important than your prayer. If your house is on fire, get your butt out the door. Because safety first, even in prayer. When you're in that state of clarity, this is that forgiveness. Moving into that state of forgiveness. Forgiveness, needing the feeling of forgiveness, is letting us know that we don't feel worthy. That we have tacked on what we believe to be stuff that is above and beyond breathing. Because if you're breathing and you're coming from this motivation of love and divine presence, then your motivations are going to be good. Your motivations are going to be pure. No problems there. So release the stress of urgent issues unless the house is on fire. Release unworthiness and guilt about being imperfect. If you're perfect, we can't see you because you've ascended. If you're still here, you get to be imperfect. Get over it. Okay? So that moves us into harmony and acceptance of ourself and others and situations. Now there's a specific process I want to do with that when we actually get into the guided meditation. But at any point, if you're having difficulty, move back into that place of safety. I feel safe. That place of is. Either right or wrong, good or bad, just is. I exist. I am here. I am safe. That's all that's required. Okay? Let me get back to that. And do not lead us into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. So the light remains active around us, and any situations that we've brought into the light, we back ourselves into a place of knowing the light exists, but being fully aware of our physical form, fully aware of our life, that we have things that we came here to do. We have a life purpose. And we can move forward fearlessly in that. If you fall asleep, what a great way to fall asleep. Love it. There's no wrong. There's no wrong. So if you fall asleep, then perhaps you just needed a sense of safety for now. A sense of that divine presence with you. So we're going to do this a couple of times. Some of you have already been started, haven't you? You've already gotten ahead of me. All right, so Phil, can you dim the lights just a bit, dear?